I remember the first time feeling conscious about my clothing choice was third grade. My grandmother pointed at a girl who wore a less than knee-length skirt and told me she would never let me wear such improper attire. As an 8-year-old girl, I was confused because I saw my dad wear short all the time. My grandmother then explained to me that your dad was a guy and you was a girl, and that made all the difference in the world. In my little head, the concept of clothing choice being a marking scheme for society to rate a young woman on how she was raised and how much respect she deserved to have slowly formed. I quickly learned that the amount of skin a girl decides to show to public is directly proportional to the amount of value she carries. Coming from a conservative family in northern Vietnam, I was always aware of my clothing choice. I even came up with my own rule in which the ratio of the fabric to the ratio of my skin should always be maintained at a 4-to-1 ratio. And so you might wonder, what does it mean? That's a lot of math. So under my translation, it means that my clothing should cover 4 parts of my body. So if I was wearing a shirt, it should cover up to my neck. And my shoulders should completely be covered. Or if I was wearing a skirt, it should always pass my knee. I thought following all these rules would save me from all the hazard and violence of the news I heard. But everything changed October 2017. I was sexually assaulted in a public library bathroom. I was wearing a blue t-shirt, a pair of skinny jeans, which did follow the 4-to-1 rule. I remember coming to the library to study math, but the only thing that seemed to retain in my memories was the assaulter hair color. Weeks after, instead of revising for my final exam with equations, I revised the questions of what if I didn't wear that pair of skinny jeans, which might have accentuated my curve a little bit too much? What if I didn't wear my favorite blue t-shirt, which I did receive the compliment for? I felt ashamed just to wear my favorite clothing and just to feel beautiful. And so, months after, I buried the incident as a dark secret under the back of my eye. I told one of the closest people in my life. Surprisingly, she said, and she asked me about whether or not I was sober. Was my clothing revealing? But little did she know, I would love to give her the detail of his outfit as well. But I guess it doesn't matter anyway, because I was a girl and he was a guy, and that made all the difference. The second time I experienced assault was a year ago. I was 18. I was wearing school uniform. The guy was someone I knew and trusted. The guy was even older than my dad. I couldn't forget how his mouth felt against my neck. But this time, I decided that I would report to the police. Whatever I received was, you could have ruined a man's life. He got a child, he got a career, he got a family. Think about what he has done to you. Think about, you should have been grateful for him, because remember that time he fixed your camera? Or remember the ride that he gave you to school? Or remember that one time when you and his wife were all together in the living room having so much fun? You should be grateful for all that time. And suddenly, I felt ashamed of even thinking about reporting the incident, feeling like a bad person. After all, I felt as though my body was taken away of my own control. I felt like a soaked cloth waiting to be hanged, helpless. But as they said, when you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. And so that's where I decided to go. I reported the incident to police, and I realized that no matter what I were or how many rules I follow, things would have ended up the same way. And so today I'm standing here proud and loud to giving the message of we as a society teaching girls to be modest is actively blaming the victim and taking away the responsibility of what was the answer for the sexual violence. Questions is the attacker themselves rather than anything coming from the victim. And so in your imagination right now, some might generate the image of what I was wearing when I was assaulted. I have mentioned that I follow the 4-to-1 ratio rule, but did my shirt carry a provocative slogan, or was my skirt short? But the truth is, does it all really matter? Really? The only thing that really matters is consent. By taking away the focus on consent, we, as a part of society, shifting the focus and perpetuating something called a rape culture, which is the normalization of sexual violence on young women. And so, since young age, we have known that, well, if a guy pushes you, oh, that's because he might have a crush on you. Or catcalling, ooh, you look pretty, girl. Wow, that's just a compliment. And so, slowly, we started blaming the victim. We start taking away the ability to express of a young woman since young age. And that's why when they ask about the concept of femininity and masculine, according to Wikipedia, feminine means weak. Weak. The power of a female, the femininity means weak. According to the statistic of sexual violence, 87% of women have experienced assault at one point in their life. But what hurt me the most is only 9% of them ever dare to report. But even then, with a rising sense of shame, they felt like it was their fault for doing the right thing. Clothing choice is such a big deal in our everyday life. But in that instant, we use clothing to define who we are as human beings. We define ourselves by our clothing choice, by the way we carry ourselves, by how we smile. So by taking away the control of someone's body and clothing choice, we indeed taking away the ability of someone to be a human being. And so I am here today as a coming out story because this is the first time I ever dare to say what I'm saying today. And even some of my family members doesn't really know what happened. And some of my closest friends are here today, don't really know what happened. I am Maisie, and this is my story. I know for a fact that juggling and traveling between different countries, different concept of saying hello and goodbye, and different hand gesture. But what I have learned for a fact that The concept of beauty and modesty is something coming from the heart, something from your attitude and who you are as a human being, rather than whatever covering your own body,